Fair enough. But we'll start with our Mythic Hero, Elim, the Scouring Saint, with 36 HP, 34 attack, 40 speed, 16 defense, and 41 res. Wow. She actually has a really good offensive stat spread. Shame she doesn't have Raffle or Raffle.
Yeah, that's why you put it on her if you need it. It's easier to put Raffle on a unit like this than it is to put Kanto on them. Put it that way.
Yeah, you're right. Trace is harder, but she doesn't have the ideal Trace, unfortunately, but no, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, who cares? She can't use Raffle anyways without, you know, getting rid of Trace. So,
yep.
What are you gonna do?
All right, 16 defense base with 41 res. That is some min-maxing. She can fight off other mages and take no physical blows. Effective bulk of 52, bruh.
That's some Nyx levels of physical bulk.
Can she actually take a hit? Does she buff her own defense and res? Or is it just... No. Well, I guess we'll see in a moment. But yeah, I don't remember doing that.
No. The only thing you'll get is the attack penalty of 3 from Trace.
Fair enough. Okay, so very evidently, chat, this hero must be put with Savior Heroes or she's gonna die.
Fortunately, that seems to be her design.
Yep, it is her design. So, real quick rehash of all her stuff, chat. Staff of the Saint, best known for buffing your allies for defense res +6 and false start, which is if you have any moves that, well, as long as she out-reses you and you're in cardinal direction, if you have a move that starts at the beginning of a turn, it now gets canceled out. So, funny enough, the hero that counters her is Elim, but no one would use the defensive Elim, so yeah, it won't happen.
Elimine is the perfect counter her to herself, but we're not going to see that happen anytime soon, are we?
Yeah. And then, with that said, though, the big heroes being locked down, of course, Sigurd, Yuri, but you wouldn't see defensive Yuris anyways. Biggest one's probably Katria and teleportation. Alms, Brave Edo guards.
All pulses, infantry pulse, quick impulse, times pulse, they all get shut down.
Yeah, somehow this locks more things down than like isolation, you know?
More specific things, but more things in general.
Yeah. So even if you get a bad Ivy Elim, even if she is a poor fighter, no matter what she does, she's gonna do her job. And because it's a res check and with 41 res base, she's gonna do it. Now, that said, this might be another situation where just like, I'm not as sure about this because it's res, but just like Milla, you go Fortress Defense res because you want to push it as high as you can.
See, one fortunate thing, or I guess unfortunate thing, Phantom res does exist. So that's going to be something either side can run, or both.
Yeah. That's right, because there's no Phantom defense, so she wouldn't have to go that hard, and attack res push is pretty good, so...
Yeah, you could just throw Phantom res on Elimine, or if you want to try to counter her, you can run Phantom res yourself. But of course, if one or the other isn't running it, the other person's probably screwed.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Fair enough. But yeah, I really don't think you change much, or if anything, of her kit. The one thing I do want to change is Nudge to like Restore Plus or something, because I think that gives you more utility. And while it is Shove, I don't know, that could really screw things up if you're not careful too.
Yeah, I'm not huge on the positional heals in Aether Raid's offense as much, just from the respect that I try not to move my guys too much. But it can be very useful for certain comps, so...
Yeah.
Nudge is the only thing, and then if you need the visible res for something. Though I'm not sure what.
Nudge.
What is that?
Nudge can at least be useful for... What, does my quality sound really bad?
You sound like you're in another dimension being squished right now. That's what you sound like.
That's not a good sign.
Later that same evening.
Okay, the one thing you definitely don't change is Holy Ground, because that gets you defense res +4 and then 30% damage reduction. There's no point in changing that. That's what makes her so good. Well, her and her staff, but that's the combination.
That's what makes her flame, but better.
Yes. And with that said, it has to be asked at this point. Best healer?
Best healer in general, probably, yeah.
The thing is, it's funny, because I don't think she's the best healer overall, because in terms of all the top tier healers, she's the worst fighter.
Oh yeah, if we're talking combat, well, yeah,
Because her staff
not-
doesn't add damage output at all. So even if we argued that, in fact, I even think like Sion Nana might be a better fighter. But we'll do a comparison later for that.
Yeah. No, because Cyan Nana will not have a perf to might. Unless you're talking with Saul's staff, Observant staff.
I think Observant staff? Oh, Saul's staff is obviously really, really good. But I also think Serpentine staff is really, really good as well. Yeah. And Palm staff is still not nothing. And of course, that's a Grail Hero you can plus 10, so.
Yeah, true. All true.
Yeah. Well, that said, I do think she's the best overall when it comes to healers that heal and support. Best supportive healer.
Yeah, as far as support, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Between her, Loki, kind of Fjorm, is that it? I mean, I guess. There's also Sarah, and then Young Larsha are the only two that come close.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some comparisons because I think that answers most of the big questions about her. She's really good. Basically, just use her and you'll be happy.
This unit's gonna literally dictate the entire anima meta going forward. I'm just gonna preface by saying I don't expect to see a lot of Elimine, for a while, because she's not exactly the most popular character.
Anyways, the Princess of Burr and Guinevere has 36 HP versus Elim's 36 HP, 35 attack versus 34 attack, 1 point advantage for Guinevere, 40 speed versus 40 speed, 16 defense versus 16 defense, and 38 res versus 41 res. So yeah, Elim's just extra BST went into what? Res?
It's not even that much extra because there's a generation. Even though there's a generation gap, she's a flyer.
Yeah.
So
the problem,
marginally more BST. Huh?
The problem with this is I love Guinevere.
Yeah.
I've tried using Guinevere. I've stopped using Guinevere. And I gotta say, I think most people have stopped using Guinevere. I know she's still around, and she's still an excellent unit. She kills mages. But yeah, that's all she does.
I mean, for some people, that's all you need her to do. It's more so the fact that we have Ninjoran right now that does kind of stifle her.
Oh yeah, some of the current mages will shred her too, yeah.
Yeah, but she can't fight archers, so the second it's a mixed ranged defense team, you can't do anything.
I mean, even if she wasn't a flyer, she can't fight archers.
Well, Guinevere's not a flyer. What?
Oh. I didn't even know who you were talking about. Neither of them can fight archers.
No. Well, it's just that Guinevere is made to fight at ranged, but can't even fight all ranged units. So.
Yeah, that's the reason why Makai is used more than Guinevere, because of that 30% damage reduction for base Makai, and of course, if it's legendary Makai, she has even more ridiculous stuff. But yes, that stuff really messes them up.
Yeah, so Guinevere is still an amazing unit at the one role she's good for, and will always have that relevance. But she does not sweeping everything, especially since there are mages that even beat her.
Speaking of which, oh man, this physical bulk looks pretty bad on both sides. Play Innocent Flame versus Scouring St. Elim. 40 HP versus 36 HP, 4 point advantage for Flame, 39 attack versus 34 attack, 5 point advantage for Flame, 27 speed versus 40 speed, 13 point advantage for Elim, 21 defense versus 16 defense. Elimine, whatever. 5 more defense for Flame, and then 35 res versus 41 res, 6 point res advantage for Elimine.
Well, Flame can take a physical shot, technically.
I mean, very technically.
I mean, if she gets doubled, a lot of them get doubled.
Yeah. Especially in Ether Raids, though, it's not that bad, and I've actually been able to pull off some pretty decent cheese with Flames.
You technically can, but she's more than likely going to die to any, incredibly debuffed physical hit.
Substantially more reasonable, especially with mythic buffs, which that is the one thing, I guess. Plane is not a mythic, so she receives buffs. On the other hand, 13 less speed.
Yeah. So I think Elim's easier to keep alive, and in general, because she buffs for defense and res and gives in-combat defense and res, and of course false start, it's really hard to give anything to Flane. And while we memed about running Flane with Flane, I don't even think you would ever bother with Flame X Elimine or something like that.
The only reason
I think that's just overkill.
There are some ridiculous ranged units you want to be able to tank sometimes, but honestly, at that point, there are probably just better builds to go for than double Flames or Flame Elimine. At this point, Flame is just best left out of most Astro teams, unless you absolutely have to for whatever reason. It's just better to switch to Elimine whenever you can.
Right. That's what I believe in. Now the good news is, if you eat glue on light seasons, that's Flame's home now. That's the good news.
Legion, your Flame will always have a home.
Of course, somewhere. This Flame that is no longer going to have a job will probably just go into Aether Raid's defense. If
I think I'm just going to merge my Flame. I don't even use my Flames. But yeah, it's probably better just to merge her. She's basically just ground orders, so why would you even... She doesn't even have an ace slot. That's always drove me nuts.
She has Dazzling, though.
Okay, great.
All I use... If I were to just keep my Flames, it would probably just be so I can make some funny memes with more layers upon layers of damage reduction.
Yeah, I have 3 Flames. I've kept them all, so...
It's mostly for the joke at this point if I keep my Flames.
I can't even believe on the same banner because it's kind of unfair. These are 2 of the best Mythic support heroes, and Azur's not just a support hero, but yeah they're put together. It would be pretty dumb.
I'm pretty.
I see some Asheras, but
I always deploy Azura.
I love using Azura.
Yeah, same here. She's such a great damage dealer.
Exactly.
And she's just good at support, even if you don't always have to. Even if you're not obligated to throw her into that like one combat or whatever, she's constantly buffing up and preventing your team from getting panicked, which is just nice.
In my case, the second she positions with somebody else, speed defense link, they get +6 to all stats, null panic, so they can't even lose it anymore. It's so convenient and so succinct. And
I'm surprised.
Can do their own thing. What?
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys didn't mention she also destroys other mages. Her 40 res actually skyrockets because of her base kit, and then of course if you give her a seal to help out as well. Yeah, I've frequently used her just like if someone still uses Reinhardt for some reason in an ARD, Azur usually takes it.
Yeah, exactly. She may not have the best HP, but she certainly has amazing res. No doubt about that.
All right, so in terms of this comparison, yeah, they are very identical. With Azur having 1 more HP, 1 more attack, 1 less speed, 1 less defense, and 1 less res. What the heck? They are virtually identical. A gap of 1 at most.
Yeah. A gap at 1, period. They are all gapped by 1.
Yeah, even the BST is just 1.
Yeah. No. Needless to say, there is an archetype going on with these high-res mages.
Who's hotter, chat?
Ooh, that's actually kind of tough.
That is
it's a Shara.
I was about to say this is a duality of man question, I think.
Yeah, I feel like some people, like, personality type A would go for Ashera, then, like, personality type B would go for Elimine. I'm not saying what A and B stand for, but...
Well,
most people said Ashera, so... Alright, cool.
Choose both.
Yeah, both, yeah.
I mean, if you get both guys, deploy both, because it'd be ridiculous. Ashera gives you attack and res, right? Elimine gives you defense and res. I know that's overlap, but you get null panic from Ashera, and then you get false start from Elim and the damage reduction. So if you had both, it'd be pretty ridiculous to get past a team like that.
Yep. Plus Ashera gives actual res, so in net you would be getting what now? 15 res between the 2 of them.
All right, this is the one I wanted to do because Nana, the Mistletoe Scion, is the free-to-play healer to beat in terms of damage output. And as I said, I would rather take Nana because you can see it. This is a free-to-play mage, guys. She is also a flyer. And despite that, Nana has 4 more HP, 1 more attack, 1 more speed, 7 more defense, and 13 less res. So yeah, Nana is why I think this is kind of ridiculous because she's faster, she has slightly more damage, and while you can argue that's a perf staff versus a non-perf staff, she's gonna still come out ahead in most combat situations, if not all of them.
Yeah, in combat though, with healers, you usually want them to be doing a far more supportive role, and Elimine, needless to say, excels that way more.
I'm not sure. For a long time, it was like the most dominant healer was Veronica, and then all she did was kill.
Cavalry range.
Veronica was kind of, Yeah, that offensive healer exception with some
I
support
mean,
built in.
if we're getting into that argument, then Camilla is just objectively better than everybody. But Nana's big thing is that she can kind of do anything, including the offense and defense. Not in res, but that is some substantially better defense bulk. And while Nana wouldn't be able to have anything of Elimine's perf skills, she can run a rain to help her stats out even more.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I still think Nana's probably the most suggested offensive healer. And it's just, yeah, just build her off to kill things, and that's what her purpose is. But it's nice to know. It's nice to know that Elimine still is pretty... I mean, if you really wanted to fight, you can make it happen, but just not suggested.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since she does come with some decent skills for it. You're probably fine if you turn Elimine into a combat unit. It's just not my first choice.
All right, I thought we'd just do this one for fun. It's not really a real comparison. But in terms of another recently launched dominant healer, though she's been used a lot less lately, is Lorishelle, young Lorishelle, with 36 AP versus 36 HP match, 37 attack versus 34 attack, 3-point advantage for Lorishelle, 38 speed versus 40 speed, 2-point advantage for Elimine, 16 defense versus 16 defense match, and then 30 res versus 41, 11-point advantage for Elimine. But yeah, this is another weird situation where technically Lorishelle is also really good healer, but she's a really good fighter as well. It's wait a second. Do we really get that few offensive healers in recent years?
Yeah, there's not a lot of them. I mean, the offensive healers we've gotten recently are basically all of them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, healers have only just recently started to fully tune into their colorless mage nature.
Yeah, but Sarah's always been a confusing unit because she's actually a really good fighter.
Even though her weapon doesn't actually give stats, yeah.
I mean, she does at least come with attack speed push, so you know what she's supposed to do. All right, so for our last healer, I think it's Sarah. With 35 HP versus 36 HP, Elimine advantage by 1. Sarah has 40 attack versus 34. This is what I mean. She 6 attack advantage, despite being so old at this point. Well, not so old, but like pretty old in comparison to the heroes we were showing. Yeah, still hits like a truck. 37 speed versus 40 speed, 3-point advantage for Elimine. 16 defense versus 16 defense match, 37 res versus 41 res, and then 4-point advantage for Elimine. Dual Hilda. Is Impulsor here? At Impulsor chat. Him and his 13 dual Hildas and no Freyas. I'm sorry. 39 HP versus 36 HP, 3-point advantage for Hilda. 37 attack versus 34 attack, 3-point advantage for Hilda. 40 speed match, 20 defense versus 16 defense, 4-point advantage for Hilda. And then 25 res versus 41 res, 16-point advantage for Elimine. So yeah, this is another interesting one. Whereas Hilda, if she's alone, gets attack speed +6. Also comes with attack speed push. And she technically is still a really good healer with even recovery, and they both have nudge, so yeah. Outside the C slot and false start, Elimine really can't keep up with the offenses of any of these healers. I think you could get close-ish, but I wouldn't even suggest it. But yeah, she basically is going to stay in her role and do it well. But yeah, it's weird. It feels weird to get a healer nowadays who doesn't want to kill everybody.
Yeah. I mean, even the healers that are great at support tend to want to kill for some reason. Like Loki, or
Yes.
Hilda herself. But Elimine is no such case. Pure support. That's why she gets the defense res buff on top of her ploy instead of attack speed 6 to herself. Kind of interesting.
Yes, which makes her... It trades all of her offenses for just being really, really good support. Which is, I think that'll make her have a lot of long-lasting utility.
I'm not even gonna deny Elimine is probably meta permanent. Like,
yeah, she's gonna always be here.
Yeah,
the way we said that about Dagger, and then a lot of people just replace her with Ash. But I don't really think you're gonna. It does feel like for the longest time, healers have stagnated into we just kill stuff. But it's nice to see it after all this time. We've actually gotten a healer that's supposed to do truly supportive, be truly supportive.
Yeah, it's a bit refreshing, honestly. Even if, even if that healer can still technically be offensive, we're at the point now where healers can actually do their, job.
Yeah. I don't expect to see her. I mean, we talked about this in the past as well with, say, Milla, because we talked about the possibility of using Lightning Breath with a high defense and res, and then using QR and killing stuff, but almost nobody did that. and for good reason, because
Now you can
just
do
use her
Dragon
support.
Fire. You could
Oh,
use,
now I can do.
yeah.
Right. It's a thing you can do, but would you? Should you? Probably
No.
not.
No, I mean, technically, to this day, Mill is still one of the tankiest colorless dragons, but you're missing the point if you do that.
Right. But yeah, that's why I don't want to play around the possibilities of offensive Elimine, because I don't think she'll be used like that.
That's why I'd almost just say switch to Fortress Res 3 on A slot, even.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, with that said, let's just end it off a rating. I don't know. It feels weird. I feel like I'll give her a 9 out of 10 because I think she's that good of a support unit. But I think in the current meta, if all you do is support, it's not good enough. In fact,
I'd give her a 9.5 out of 10.
I'd probably say at least 9.5. And the big thing is, with Mythics, the support is all you really want. Combat Mythics are not that useful.